Download the BCSN Plus app today.
Ohio State in a familiar position, once again headed back to the college football playoff, and once again headed back to the Cotton Bowl. Now, the weird thing though, we know the date, December 31st. We don't yet know the opponent. It could be either number 7, Texas A&M, or it could be number 10, Miami. Now, how does that change the preparation for Ryan Day to have so much time off and not know who he's playing? Well, they're just going to go down and stick to business as usual.
The goal is to be at maximum speed, effort, violence, really peaking at the end of the month here because, it's a significant layoff. So the first thing we want to do is the guys who have played a significant amount of football, let them get their legs underneath them. But also as we get into next week, make sure that, they're keeping their edge. I think that's important because it's not like a bye week. I mean, this is a long layoff. And last year, we had the first round game and then we went right back into it and found ourselves in a rhythm. So that's something that, we're really looking at hard. Visited on it today with Mick and Quinn and making sure we're putting together the right plan, put together a really good practice schedule around Christmas, travel down there, I believe on the 28th, and then keep a lot of the same things as we got closer to the game as we did last year.
And with that, we'll welcome in Tyler Danberg of 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, who's had a sideline seat to this entire Ohio State football season, including last weekend against Indiana. Tyler, I'm curious to get your take on a dominant team, but one that's had a hiccup last week. What do you think of Ohio State going into this playoff situation?
Well, they're hungry, and they're ready to go, Caleb. I think that they're battle-tested after that loss against a really good Indiana team that played one of, if not its best football game in Indianapolis. I think they're going to come out with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. Ryan Day said this week, Caleb, that they're going to have a couple of weeks to improve that efficiency, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And we've seen what teams with 1+ weeks of prep under Ryan Day can do. Usually that means they have some success coming their way, just like they did last year, because if there's any indication of what last year means to this year, it's that they can be resilient and hungry and explosive coming off a loss like that.
We don't yet know who the opponent's going to be when Ohio State returns to the Cotton Bowl. They were in there last year. We don't know if it's going to be Texas A&M or Miami. So, Tyler, I'm going to ask you to do double duty here and give me a preview of both. How does Ohio State stack up to both the Aggies and the Hurricanes?
Yeah, well, I think that Miami and Texas A&M, Caleb, are similar in that they have really strong offensive lines and they've got some skill weapons as well. We'll start off with Miami. Carson Beck, his resume goes without being said. Now, the key for him, though, is limiting the turnovers because in the losses to Louisville and SMU, he's gotten a little turnover happy. But when he's at the top of his game, he's a really strong pro-style quarterback, and he's got weapons. Boy, does he have weapons. Keep an eye on true freshman Malachi Tony. He could be the National Freshman of the Year, the Sean Alexander Award winner when this is all said and done. He's electrifying. And then you look at their offensive line. I think that's the straw that stirs the drink as well. Now, it is a Mario Cristobal team, so you know that the offensive line is going to be incredibly strong. They're one of the better teams in not allowing sacks, not allowing tackles for loss, and the same can be said about Texas A&M. Now, the one thing about the Aggies under Mike Elko is they can turn the ball over a little bit. They turn the ball over 16 times. They have a -7 turnover margin, and in the college football playoff, that is incredibly important. Also, what does the Aggies offense look like with offensive coordinator Colin Klein taking the head coaching job at his alma mater in Kansas State? So a lot of question marks, but what we do know for the Aggies, they're strong on defense. They got a good back end, and the quarterback Marcel Reed was a guy that a couple of weeks ago, people are thinking maybe he can be going to New York to join Julian Sand, Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, and Diego Pavia. And then Casey Concepcion is a special team's weapon, and he's great on the outsides as well, like when he had that punt return for a touchdown a couple weeks back. So regardless of which team it is, they're going to pose some challenges. But Ohio State, certainly with their emphasis on winning the turnover battle, they could have some advantages in this ballgame.
In addition to the great work that Tyler does with 97.1 The Fan, Tyler also the voice of Ohio State women's basketball, who just so happens on Sunday play the Toledo Rockets inside Value City Arena. Tyler, one more preview to give us here. What do you think of that matchup, putting your basketball hat on?
Well, first off, talk about timing. And second of all, Toledo, what they've done these last few years, really what they've done as a program. I mean, just digging into the history this week of Rockets women's basketball, it really is remarkable to see what they've done. They've had only 3 head coaches in the last 30 years. If that's not a measure of consistency and success, I don't know what is. I think the head of the snake for UT is Kennedy Carruthers, and she can pose some threats for Ohio State. But for those watching in Northwest Ohio, what you might get from the Buckeyes is you're going to get a lot of full court pressure. And you know that, Caleb. They're going to run both ends of the floor. And it's a little bit of a different team than in years past. They've got 11 on the roster. They're led by sophomore Jelani Cambridge, who's averaging 20-plus points a game in just her second year with the program. Her sister Kennedy is an energizer on both sides of the floor. She's got over 40 steals in her last 25 games, a pretty remarkable clip. So look for this to be maybe a little bit of a track meet of a matchup.
That was Tyler Danberg of 97.1 The Fan. Tyler, thanks so much for taking the time with us, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you so much, Caleb. Really appreciate you guys having me.